It's my birthday! Welcome! Welcome to the party! What up? Let me turn the music down. Too loud. Hello! It's my birthday! It's my birthday! I know I'm being really corny, but I get to. It's my birthday. I get to do this once. Whoever was here to watch the stream immediately tapped out. They were not about that. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Today, we have a lot to do. I did not update the, agenda. Well, welcome to the birthday stream. Today, the Epstein files. Today we're going to be talking about a multitude of topics. There's a lot, actually, to talk about today in the world of news and politics. A big kind of category for what we're going to discuss is going to involve the Epstein files. We are going to discuss Minneapolis and Minnesota. Maybe I should make it Minnesota. We are going to discuss a Kamala Harris announcement that I have no context for. We're kind of going to go into that one blind. And more. We'll make that last one and more, because there's a few more things I want to talk about. And then at the very end, we're going to have a little birthday celebration talking about me and my life and stuff. Let's see. I kind of want some more music. It's kind of awkward having this girl dancing in the background and there's absolutely nothing happening. Keep playing that. Yeah, so that's the plan for the stream today. Not really a whole lot. Well, there is a lot planned, but beyond that, we don't have much more planned. Let me grab this and stretch it out for you, because I'm really bad at planning the stream out in advance. But yeah, that's the plan. I don't typically make the streams all happy and jovial, but for my birthday, I'll make an exception. How was your guys' Thursday? Did you have a good Thursday? I hope it was good, because we don't get a lot of excuses to celebrate or enjoy ourselves nowadays. So for this brief moment right before we talk about what we're about to talk about, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Okay, the music's over, party's done. Lady, go away. Yeah. So we're going to get started with updates regarding the Epstein files. What to talk about first? There's a few things I do want to touch on. Again, like I work a 9 to 5, so getting home straight from work doesn't leave me with a lot of opportunity to kind of plan out how the stream's going to go. So a lot of this is just kind of off the dome. But I think the first thing I want to talk about, genuinely, we're going to touch on this one quickly. And how did let me put this aside for a second, okay, while I search, because I found this on Twitter. It is a tool that someone made. So let me grab it real quick. That way there's no yeah. Okay, here we go. So if you don't understand what we're looking at, I will give you some context here from this tweet. Someone saved all of the Epstein emails from the release, the most recent release, and set up a Gmail clone site that you can scroll through as if you were in Jeffrey's emails. I saw this and was like, what? Like, someone got into his email, like his exact email, and was able to like clone it? No, that is not correct. Someone made a mock Gmail account, or like a clone of Gmail, and then scrubbed through all of the most recent emails that were in the Epstein file release, and structured this website as if it was a Gmail account. So I looked at it. This is genuinely spectacular. What we are looking at, it looks like my Gmail, you know, but it's not my Gmail. This is Jmail. This is a mock-up version of Epstein's Gmail. And we can go to the search tab up here, and we can even type in Donald, let's say. And it will pull up every email that Epstein ever... I got a hair in my mouth. I'm sorry. That Epstein ever sent or received with the words Donald in it. Like how you would normally use Gmail to like go through your own email. You can search this in the exact same way. How many search results are there? 1,974, if I'm not mistaken. Let me... How do I scrub the search? Here. Okay, yeah. So, total, in Jmail, there appear to be 7,546 emails. And of those 7,546 emails that were in the most recent Epstein release, according to Jmail here, almost 2,000 of them include the search term Donald. This tool is spectacular. It does a really good job of making the Epstein files and the emails that were included in the most recent Epstein files release very consumable. And here on the left, there's a People tab with all contacts, and then there's divisions. Like, here is Elon Musk. I wonder if this is every correspondence that Epstein ever had with Elon Musk. If that's the case, there are 138. Now, before I get ahead of myself, you might be asking me, like, how can I prove that this is actually verifiable? And that's quite easy. Let's go ahead and click on this email. It's a thread between Epstein and Elon Musk. You might be asking me, like, how do I know that this isn't fabricated? Up here is a View Original Document button. And if we click on it, it will take us to the Justice Department's URL. We verify, like we typically do when we visit the Epstein files, and it will take us to the corresponding EFTA files that correspond to the different files in the Epstein release. This is EFTA 023-50369, and this email thread was put into Jmail. This is I'm not going to call it a spectacular tool. It is an incredible amount of ingenuity in helping us digest a disgusting amount of files with rancid content in them. Since we're here, why don't we go ahead and read this correspondence between Jeffrey Epstein and Elon Musk. On December 28th of 2012, Epstein wrote, "I will be in St. Barth tomorrow. How do I find you?" 10 minutes later, Elon Musk responded, "Do you want to join us and some others for drinks on the 30th around 10?" Epstein, 2 minutes later, "We will only come tomorrow for the day. We'll be seeing friends in the something for a while. Return to my island in the evening." Elon, "Unfortunately, we are not on St. Bart's tomorrow. Back afternoon of the 30th. How long will you stay? We go back and forth through the 2nd. Love seeing this. Love seeing a come back to the island. Return to my island in the evening. Oh, no, this is Epstein discussing himself. My apologies. I thought he was saying to Elon that Elon should return to his island. Anyways. What are these stars? I don't know the name of the person who Maddie McTech. No, it's not even Maddie McTech. This Maddie is saying that someone else saved all the. So I don't know who made this. I don't know who made Gmail, but whoever did decided to put this email at the very top of the starred section. Here. So yeah. I would highly recommend for anyone who does have a curiosity to kind of explore Epstein's the Epstein files and the emails that Epstein was sending. You can use this tool to search through all of his emails. I will add an asterisk that there is a lot of very graphic content in these emails. You can search any term, just like you would with your Gmail account. Yesterday, I just searched the term sex. And the word sex comes up in these emails. It comes up in 1,518 emails. I remember seeing this one. I mean, there's a lot there. I imagine that a lot of this is porn, but then a lot of it is discussion of sex, and the Epstein files are very specifically documenting sex crimes. So bear that in mind. A lot of this is very disgusting. I didn't really bother clicking on all this because I don't know if I have the stomach for it. Yeah. I think on that note, we'll leave that here. Please utilize this tool. If you are a journalist or a historian of any kind, or what, like, I don't know, not historian, but like, this is a tool that you can make use of. So here it is. We're going to move on, though. The next thing I want to talk about is Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton being subpoenaed. And then I think, I'm not sure if they were found in, what is it? What's the term when you don't listen to a subpoena? Contempt. Bill and Hillary Clinton subpoena. All right. PBS. The Clintons agreed to testify in House Oversight's Epstein investigation, but may still face contempt charges. I'd very much like to. Actually, hold on. Let's go ahead and keep up Gmail. Let's keep it up. Gmail. Yeah. Let's look up Clinton. We have the tool available to us. Let's see how many times they come up in the emails. The keyword Clinton comes up 1,200. Comes up in 1,268 emails. So you can imagine the fact that they have finally agreed to testify in the House Oversight's Epstein investigation will likely give us a lot. A lot of people have been saying that Bill Clinton testifying under oath may give us revelations about Epstein and his co-conspirators that we likely will not be able to receive directly from the DOJ, since they are being very not transparent. I want to emphasize that just because they said that they've fulfilled their duties under the Epstein Transparency Act doesn't actually mean that they have. There are still 3 million files that have yet to be released. Many names in the released documents are censored. And because the DOJ, Donald Trump, the White House have very much kind of presented this as a Democratic versus Republican kind of issue, the Clintons may feel like they're getting the short end of the stick here, and they may, in spite, discuss more than what the White House and what Donald Trump are comfortable with. If they're going to go down, they're going to bring everyone down with them. So let's take a look at this. No video. I was hoping for something in video form from PBS, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and we'll keep that open. I'm wondering if there is any video I can react to. Associated Press for a minute. NBC Montana. Independent. Can I get something a little bit longer? Live now from Fox. Forbes breaking news. Yeah, I guess we'll use Forbes. Might be a little bit too long, but when was this made? A day ago. Okay, we'll come back to that. Washington. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton agreed late Monday to testify in a House investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, but the Republican leader leading the probe said an agreement had not yet been finalized. Representative James Comer, the chief of the House Oversight Committee, continued to press for criminal contempt of Congress charges against both the Clintons Monday evening for defying a congressional subpoena when attorneys for the Clintons emailed staff for the oversight panel saying the pair would accept Comer's demands and will appear for depositions on mutually agreed dates. The attorneys requested that Comer, a Kentucky Republican, agree not to move forward with the contempt proceedings. Comer, however, said he was not immediately dropping the charges, which would carry the threat of a substantial fine and even incarceration if passed by the House and successfully prosecuted by the Department of Justice. Yeah, the point is that they're going to finally testify. Yeah, I could care less about all the details, really. Obviously, I personally think that Bill and Hillary Clinton had something to do with Epstein. They don't just appear over 1,000 times in these files and then not have something. And for that reason, I do believe that they would want to avoid appearing in front of Congress or the House Oversight's Epstein investigation. But I don't need all these details, truly. Republicans push Bill Clinton's involvement. Obviously, if you want the framing of this to continue to be left versus right, you need to push as much as possible that the Clintons had something to do with it predominantly, but I don't think that's the case. I think this is I will continue to say that this is simply a matter of the elite wanting to kind of identify and run in circles with other elites. How do I say this? Like, I think I saw a video recently of Epstein having like weird issues with his mouth, and some people had been speculating that it was a disease that people can develop as they continue to like cannibalize people. I truly think that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were like two freaks, and potentially Donald Trump. I'm not certain. It's hard to get a sense of like who was involved the most with Epstein. I may be wrong about Donald Trump being a like the biggest repeater of crimes against humanity along with Epstein and Maxwell, but we certainly do hear a lot of accusations in the files about Trump. I haven't heard as much from the most recent Epstein files release about like just crimes that Clinton and either of the Clintons committed. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but I'm losing my train of thought. I don't know what I was getting at with this, but yeah, I'm rambling. Let's do the video. I think it'll be easier for me to follow and kind of form my thoughts about.
Hi everybody, I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney Joseph Tully. Joseph, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm grateful for you joining me today because I hope you can provide some legal perspective on this reversal we've seen from a former president and his wife. Former President Bill Clinton, as well as former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, have now agreed to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee as the panel continues its investigation into disgraced sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This comes after a handful of Democrats joined Republicans last month on the Oversight Committee to vote in favor of holding both Clintons in contempt of Congress over their refusal to comply with a subpoena to testify in front of the committee about their relationship with the disgraced financier. So to start off the conversation, what are your thoughts?
Oh, what I was getting at. Sorry. I'm like all up and down. What I will say is I think the rest of like a large portion of likely the people in cahoots with Epstein rather just kind of wanted to identify as part of the circle of elites, and I can imagine many of them had their own kind of like sexual desires, but I'm very skeptical about like how many of them like wanted to genuinely engage in cannibalism. I don't know. I mean, they could have all, but there's little evidence to kind of suggest that was the case. Same goes for pedophilia, etc., etc. The more FBI tips that were made against certain people increases those odds of like crime. Like that's what makes me feel inclined to be confident about the likelihood that Trump himself was a pedophile is because of the frequency of the number of FBI tips that came in during their investigation. But I have yet to see anything else suggesting that Trump himself engaged in cannibalism, unlike we saw with the George H.W. Bush kind of FBI tip. You can't really come to conclusions one way or the other. You are entitled to your opinion because they haven't been transparent about the release of these files, but without a full kind of transparent release of everything, unfortunately, there's just not a lot to go off of. But hopefully the Clintons will shed some light on what did truly happen.
On their reversal here.
I thought it was wise for them to do this reversal. Um, what their lawyers had been arguing previously, it didn't have a lot of legal merit. It had They had some complaints. We feel that you're doing this unfairly. We feel that this is a fishing expedition. We feel like our clients are being unfairly targeted, but they weren't giving legal reasons. Here's why your subpoena is invalid. Here's why your subpoena has no legal effect. And so, because subpoenas are.
I mean, it does bring into the question, like, who else has been subpoenaed? I don't think it's a valid response from the Clintons to say, like, you're targeting us if everyone else named in the files has been subpoenaed. Which makes me want to ask, like, let's see, like, we can do a quick Google search. Has the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed everyone else? House Oversight Committee subpoenas. Can't spell subpoena. Subpoena Epstein files. Let's see. AI, stupid AI. Today, reform releases records. Oh, that's 2025. I need recently. Seek subpoena of Bill Gates over Epstein files. Was that an hour ago or a day ago? Okay. The Hill is saying that they've subpoenaed Bill Gates. Who else? But if that's the case, it's like, okay, you don't really have much of a hill to stand on. The Clintons don't have much of a hill to stand on if other people listed in the files have also been subpoenaed. Mole subpoena. The Latin Times? I don't know who the Latin Times are, but every minute I spent with him, I regret. Bill Gates. Very cool. Obviously, I think the most famous of the people in the Epstein files will be getting the most coverage. I know Jay-Z and was it Beyonce? I think Jay-Z and Beyonce have fled the country. Allegedly. Serbian Times. Allegedly. Thank you for reminding me. Allegedly. And that's like the news circulating around them is that they've fled, not even that they were like subpoenaed. Allegedly. Allegedly. But anyways.
Are legally enforceable. Congress basically didn't blink. And despite the Clintons' lawyers doing some very good negotiations and kind of doing their best to delay things and extend things, this has been going on basically since October. The committee subpoenaed the Clintons in late summer, and there's been 4 previously missed depositions. So basically, time ran out for the Clintons.
I want to get your perspective here on how some members of Congress characterized the Clintons' move. This is what House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said in response, in part. Republicans and Democrats on the Oversight Committee have been clear. No one is above the law, and that includes the Clintons. He also added this. Once it became clear that the House of Representatives would hold them in contempt, the Clintons completely caved and will appear for transcribed, filmed depositions this month. Congressman Thomas Massey, he's
part of the reason why I think the Clintons would be more likely to cave to a subpoena than a Republican or just anyone on the right, regardless of whether or not they have like a lot of authority as right-leaning faces for conservatives and whatnot. I feel like Republicans, conservatives, just anyone right leaning can get away with defiance against the federal government because that's kind of their whole shtick is like denying and how do I say this? I'm trying to find my words. Just kind of denying involvement. It's much easier to kind of shift blame elsewhere for Republicans, or not Republicans, like just the right. Um, but liberals and more centrist or like left leaning, not blatantly leftist, but just liberals in general, their whole shtick is taking ownership or responsibility. Like it's very preachy the way that liberals talk about themselves and morality. I'm trying to sound cohesive. Um, so the fact that Bill and Hillary Clinton are conceding to this subpoena makes sense to me because if they didn't, it would appear very much to anyone left of center that they are guilty. I think it's the best strategy for the Clintons to try to like comply with the subpoena. Otherwise, it's an admission of just guilt from the top, and I think they're trying to save face as much as possible. But anybody else, if they were right leaning, they could detract from the subpoena and say we're being targeted again. Donald Trump does it all the time, like calling the Epstein files a left conspiracy. It's all a hoax, just trying to take him down. That's essentially what I'm getting at.
One of the leading voices in Congress calling for transparency as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein. He reportedly said that he believed this was more of a negotiation tactic. What do you think here? Do you think that from your legal perspective, this was the Clintons caving, or this was more of a negotiation hardball tactic?
I think that it was the latter, that they were doing hardball negotiations. They didn't have very good a legal framework to stand on here. Otherwise, the move would have been to file a motion to quash. If you ever have a subpoena that you disagree with, you don't write a letter saying, "Hey, this is not fair." You would file a motion in court saying, "Hey, look, this is legally unenforceable." And they didn't do that. So that tells you that there wasn't a lot of legal standing for them to say, "Look, we're not going to obey the subpoena." The subpoena was a lawful document, and they did their best to get out of it. Um, the House kept voting, okay, if you don't show up, we are going to advance contempt against you. And the Clintons, as it was said, they caved in, and it was a wise legal decision on their part to do so.
So now do they face any type of criminal punishment here, any type of legal hurdles? Because the full House vote on the contempt resolutions, that has been canceled. The Clintons are now going in and providing a testimony to the House Oversight Committee. So legally, are they in the clear?
It looks like they are through negotiation. So it looks like their attorney said, okay, look, you got us. There's been missed appearances. And the last missed appearance in January was not cleared. Previously, there had been back and forth talking on both sides, and the House had agreed. They had relented to kind of postpone. So there was good negotiation on both sides, but here it there was clearly a missed date, and it looks like the Clinton legal
How long has my mic been muted? Jesus Christ. All right, we're going to pretend that I was doing commentary for a little bit there.
team successfully negotiated. Okay, look, you got us, but we'll agree that they can come in and testify, deposition under oath. It's got to be closed door though. Okay, yes, you can film. Yes, you can transcribe it. So there was negotiation. But they had to cave because they were looking at contempt of Congress that was bipartisan. So Democrats had voted against them, and I think that came as a surprise to the Clinton camp.
The Clintons have both repeatedly said that they know nothing or knew nothing about Epstein's criminal activities. They wouldn't be able to provide any crucial information that would help this investigation move it further along. I'm curious because neither of them have any formal accusations against them as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein. Technically, when they appear for the depositions, could they go in there? Could they plead the fifth? Could they also continuously answer every question with some sort of iteration of, I know nothing about Jeffrey Epstein and his alleged criminal network? I mean, what does their testimony, do you think, look like?
Um,
I feel like I said earlier, I feel like Bill Clinton would lay everything out on the table. I feel like Hillary Clinton would not. She took such a greater than thou. She's consistently taken such a greater than thou kind of attitude when interacting with the public, both just like on the campaign trail and then ever since. I feel like she would not. But Bill Clinton, I get the feeling, would be absolutely spiteful. I think he's done with Trump and his horse piss. Like, they are in the files together, and a lot of the stuff that is alleged, the public's understanding of the two of them is almost equal. You know what I mean? And so, Bill Clinton, I would be like, I'm old. I don't care. Like, my reputation has been tainted. I'm absolutely bringing you down with me. Hillary Clinton, I don't think would, though. And that's the thing that continues to just kind of confuse me about the Clintons' marriage. Like, Bill has been through the mud, and yet Hillary Clinton continues and has continued to, like, been married to him. And it really makes you wonder, like, are they both, like, really badly implicated in these files? Did they do shit, like, dark shit, together? And that's why they've just stuck it through, even though, like, they don't really seem to be compatible personalities. I don't know. I'm hyper analyzing at this point. Interpersonal, their relationship, and that's very speculative, but it's just something that has been on my mind before.
I think you raise an interesting point because I think even the biggest critics of the Clintons, nobody would deny that they're intelligent people. They're both very intelligent, and they both have law degrees. So I think that we will see a face down. It's very similar to what we saw maybe during the Iran-Contra hearings, where we had very aggressive lawyers on behalf of Oliver North that were fighting the committee, the whole time under oath. I think we'll see a big fight. I think Bill Clinton will raise executive privilege to certain questions. I think that if there are issues where the statute of limitations has not run, you will see them take the fifth. And again, that doesn't mean they're guilty. It just means that, look, I could face criminal prosecution for this. I'm not going to answer. So I think that you'll see a very hard-fought, very aggressive defense tactics on behalf of the Clintons.
I'm not familiar at all with kind of the procedures of a court, and I think he's able to speak to that much more than I am. I'm just kind of like psychoanalyzing their behaviors and whatnot. But yeah, strategically, like, they're gonna do their absolute best to not address shit.
And like I just said, the Clintons have repeatedly denied wrongdoing here, and they aren't, like I said before, accused of any wrongdoing as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein. But I was talking to an attorney when they initially refused to comply with the subpoena, and the attorney essentially said, if you have nothing to hide, why not comply here? I mean, what's your take on that? Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that, but I'm a defense attorney, so I have,
of course,
hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of clients at this point that they were a good person. They talked to law enforcement, They were innocent, but because they spoke with law enforcement, that
Yeah.
enabled the prosecution against them to go forward.
You can accidentally like self-incriminate. Like law enforcement has a way of like wanting to like over accuse you for wrongdoing. So they'll like get really um grandiose. That's not the right word, with their like kind of accusations, trying to get you to come to the middle of guiltiness and get something on you. Um, and if you're innocent, like you don't want to compromise with like your wrongdoing if you've done nothing wrong. Um, so
So
yeah,
I say, as an American, you have a Fifth Amendment right. It doesn't mean that you're hiding anything. You have the right to refuse to comply with anything that possibly might get you in harm's way in terms of charges being brought against you. So when you're dealing with the government and the crushing weight that it has, and you have a tool like the Fifth Amendment, you use it.
The Clintons here and the people who support them have argued that this is just all partisan politics. This is designed to embarrass them or perhaps punish them. I mean, we remember from President Trump's first campaign a decade ago, the audience was chanting, "Lock her up," as it relates to Hillary Clinton. Those on the other side, though, say it's important to hear from high profile people that were connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Realistically, as an attorney here, what do you think? Do you think this is just political theater, or do you think that this is going to have any type of impact on the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein?
to a degree, yes, I do think it's partisan politics, but it's more along the fact of like I think both the Clintons and Trump himself are pretending at partisan politics when I think very likely they were in cahoots with one another. It's very strange to look back on the 2016 debates and see Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump up on the same debate stage um, when they both associated with Epstein. Um, and that's not to say that the Clintons quite yet are definitively guilty of any wrongdoing, but they ran in the same circles and may very well know what Epstein got up to, what they both got up to. Um, so I think it's a ploy at partisan politics when in actuality they ran in the same circles together.
I think both sides have merit here. But I do think there was a connection. There was a close relationship with both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Maxwell was invited to Chelsea Clinton's wedding. There's photos of her there. Bill Clinton had a lot more ties and flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane than Donald Trump did. So there's a very close connection between Epstein, Maxwell, and both Hillary and Bill Clinton. So it is proper for the House to probe this. Both Bill and Hillary Clinton served in the highest levels of the United States government, and yet they're have a close relationship with people that were involved in sex trafficking. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of. That's what Jeffrey Epstein was, convicted of, and was facing more prosecution before his alleged death. I'll say in jail, just because you know I don't trust anything. Like, let's trust but verify everything and look at all the details. So I think that that it is very legitimate for the committee to want to get more answers from both Bill and Hillary Clinton, and I applaud them for doing so and for pursuing it.
I'm gonna go as far as
Oversight
to
Chairman,
applaud them. Like this is the minimum fucking thing we could request as a public. Like it, if even if it's unverified information, the FBI tips have a repeated pattern with the same names, same kinds of accusations. This is the bare minimum the public is asking for. I would not applaud the fucking government for doing an investigation, a deeper investigation into the activity of alleged pedophiles and cannibals. That's just my 2 cents.
Said that this shows nobody is above the law here, and that includes the Clintons.
Bullshit. They absolutely are above it. Again, my 2 cents.
And former President Bill Clinton's deputy chief of staff said in a statement that the Clintons, quote, look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone. Democrats say this certainly sets a precedent. And Congressman Jamie Raskin, he reportedly said that this shows past presidents are not off limits for subpoenas. Do you agree here? Do you think that this sets a precedent?
This is a hard question to even like entertain, because literally, I want to say in 2023, the Supreme Court passed a judgment that presidents are above the law when they are in position of the presidency. I wrote my speech about this when I protested. That very Supreme Court decision was in my speech. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor said in her dissenting opinion that the president is now essentially a king above the law. I forget what court case that was, but so to ask this question of like, we're holding everyone accountable, it flabbergasts me. It leaves me without words, because no, they're not. They are above the law. These people get to be above the law, not only socially, but through the infrastructure that we have built over the last several years. Republicans deflect. It's only Democrats and liberals that try to like be better than now, but we're seeing that they take advantage of both a social construct and the system.
I think that it sets a precedent, but I think the precedent has already been set. I think we're hearing partisan complaints from both sides, but we heard it during the Trump presidency and then afterwards. So the right was targeted under Biden, and the left is now complaining that, hey, look, we're being targeted under this.
The right was targeted under Biden? What did he do? He didn't fucking look at this shit and like start targeting his opposition. Let's look at Epstein's very files. Is Biden mentioned in these emails? Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. Again, like, I'm not actually going to look through these. Never mind. The point I was trying to make, this actually does not help my point. It is pointless. However, that being said, Biden didn't do shit to like target his opponents. Kamala Harris on the campaign trail was leaning into conservative talking points and desires. They were talking about wanting to deport more illegals and more immigrants, and she was like, I'm going to deport more people than Donald Trump. They were taking pages out of the conservative playbook.
Trump administration, but the gloves are already off on both sides. I think that's established. I think both sides are complaining about it, but there's already a precedent for this. This talk of no one is above the law, that's simply payback. That's an echo from what was chanted and touted when Donald Trump was indicted and when he was being sued.
To touch on his point of like the gloves are coming off, I think that is absolutely false of Democrats and liberals. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are being bitch ass pussies about like dealing whatsoever with the issues happening in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. Tim Walz isn't stepping up to defend the citizens of the Twin Cities and protect their lives, Democrats are doing fuck all to respond to the Trump administration.
No one is above the law. So that is just merely both sides using that slogan against each other.
But they do want to sound like they're doing shit. They come up with really good slogans and phrases, but don't do shit. They're limp-spined pussies.
But this is very relevant testimony. It's very important testimony to your point of bipartisanship. I believe the Jeffrey Epstein files is nonpartisan, and the American people are coming together 100% behind release and transparency. And when the Trump administration was balking on releasing the files, the American people rallied, and Congress had to listen to the American people as a whole. So this is nonpartisan. The American people are 100% behind the release of the files and getting to answers behind what was going on, because it's very, very, very concerning.
Both President Trump and former President Clinton were mentioned in the Epstein files, and both had some sort of relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Both have denied any wrongdoing as it relates to the convicted sex offender. And from what we've seen in the files, Clinton hasn't been formally accused of any wrongdoing. And as it relates to Trump, law enforcement hasn't corroborated or verified any allegation made against him. But multiple Democrats have warned now that if they regain control of the House come November, they will subpoena President Trump. They will force him to come in and talk about what he knows about Jeffrey Epstein and try to get him to talk in this investigation. Do you think that they will be able to?
I did not. Jeffrey and I were good friends. We went out a handful of times. I showed him my tots and tiaras. What was it? Hit my dance studio for tots and tiaras. I stood there as they were undressing, and I showed Jeffrey. I was like, I get to do this. I own the place. I own it. But that was it. Just a few times. Yeah, that's it. What's wrong? I didn't do anything. I might have grabbed a few of them. Because when you're famous, you can just grab them by the pussy. Nothing wrong with that. What? I'm being arrested? Why? All I said was what I've always said. Jesus. Okay. Sorry.
I think that because former President Clinton is coming in here.
Satire. This is satire in Minecraft. Satire in Minecraft. Don't come get me. Don't come get me, please. Thank you. Thank you.
He's providing testimony. Do you think that then forces President Trump to comply with any subpoena he might get in the future?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. The distinction between President Trump is just that, President Trump. And so he may have a defense of presidential immunity, executive immunity, or executive privilege in terms of wanting to block a subpoena or filing a motion to quash a subpoena. So Bill Clinton may have that defense available for certain questions if they're asked about things that he did while president.
The hard part about Trump responding to a subpoena, and I think he's right, but I don't know if this is a new development in the world of law because of the Supreme Court decision I was alluding to earlier, or if this is just like a general thing that he can do because he's president right now. Yeah.
So, but for the most part, if Congress keeps the questioning outside of that time period, specifically when he was president or when he was out of office, then he will not have that. So there is a distinction just because President Trump is the president and may be able to invoke executive privilege.
These will be closed.
And I mean, he would push that envelope because, and this is what I recall of that Supreme Court decision. It's actions that the president takes while he is president of the United States make him a king above the law, according to Sonia Sotomayor. So if they were to push, like, this happened in the 90s, you weren't president, speak on this, I mean, I think we all fully agree that Trump would try to push that envelope. Like, I'm president now, which means I was always at one point going to become president, which means I was never a criminal.
Door depositions, but the Clintons reportedly wanted to appear publicly. Why, from a legal perspective, do you think they would prefer to appear publicly here?
I think they want to get control. So if the committee is going to ask them certain questions and it's going to be a closed door session but videotaped, then the committee could take selections of their testimony and put it out there in a press release, and it might be taken out of context. So
it would either go amazingly for the Clintons to have this full transparency, or it will be disastrous because they'll do a really piss poor job of like actually presenting themselves. Having some editorial, you want to have full editorial creativity, or not creativity, but like, you don't want others to edit how you present yourself. You would rather present yourself authentically and filter through yourself than someone else create that filter. The question is, will they actually do a good job of doing it publicly, as opposed to having the fucking God, I can't speak, the House Oversight Committee.
I think it's good
do
negotiation on behalf of the Clintons' lawyers. Like, look, if we're going to testify, let's make it open. Let's make it public. That way, the committee doesn't have sole control over which clips to release. The public can see everything in real time as it happens.
Yeah. I'm going to stop here. We've talked about this topic plenty. We don't need to keep going. Yeah, definitely interested to see this. When does this happen? I'll definitely want to tune into this, but anyways, last thing we're going to talk about regarding the Epstein files is Elon Musk, because I heard that his office in France for Twitter was raided, and I kind of want to hear more about that. Elon Musk, French office. By French prosecutors after X-raid. And like I said earlier, or like we looked at this earlier. Oh no, not Epstein. Musk. Elon is in the files a lot, and we even read we read a conversation between him and Epstein. So anyways, Reuters, who should we read? We'll do a video. We're not going to bother reading. I can't be bothered. KTVU, Fox, San Francisco, or France 24 English. Let's do the French one.
Truth or fake means Vedica held by the big ball. Good evening to you, Vedica. The French offices of Elon Musk's X were raided here in Paris today by the city's cyber crime unit, part of an investigation into a range of suspected offences, including, and it's quite grim stuff, isn't it, spreading child sexual abuse images and deepfakes. Tell us what we know so far.
This has more to do with like Grok. Yeah, because Grok was being real naughty. So yeah.
That's right, Mark. Here in Paris today, the country's cybercrime unit, backed by Interpol, began raiding the X office premises this morning. It was announced by the Paris prosecutor's office. Now, these raids are part of a year-long investigation into 7 allegations into X. That includes complicity in the possession of indecent and prohibited images of minors, as well as complicity in the distribution, offering, and making of those indecent and prohibited images. That includes violation of personal image rights in terms of sexual deepfakes, denial of crimes against humanity, and particularly denial of the Holocaust on the platform, unlawful data extraction from an automated data processing system, falsifying the running of an automated data processing system, and the administration of an illegal online platform. Now,
yeah, all of this has to do with Grok. Grok would produce indecent images of minors. I don't think that's something you can just like. Grok is a piece of generative AI. In order to generate an image or anything like that, you need to be fed content from reality to generate that kind of content. Now, I'm not saying that Grok was fed lewd images of minors, but it probably extrapolated a way to kind of get to that approximation of what is a lewd image of a minor. Like, I think people, Elon Musk himself, like, generated an image of a toaster with a bikini on, but in doing so, how am I going to say this? Well, maybe it didn't. I was going to say it likely like added breasts to the toaster, because most often when you see a bikini, it is being worn by somebody, but I actually didn't look at the image because I don't give a shit about looking at a toaster wearing a bikini. But you can understand how like a generative AI might approximate that. Like if a toaster is going to wear a bikini, it also is very likely it possesses breasts. And so the same can kind of be said when generating an image of minors. Like, it may not have been fed that information, but it can probably approximate that. Complicity in the distribution, offering, or making available as part of an organized gang of indecent and prohibited images of minors. It distributed it on the platform. That's what that says. Violation of personal image rights. When you have it generate images of celebrities that did not consent to have that kind of shit made. Denial. I do think Elon Musk was like, I don't think he ever like addressed that shit. Unlawful data extraction, and this is like mass analyzation of images and other stuff for Grok. Falsifying the running of an automated data processing system. I don't know what that means. Falsifying the running? I don't know what that means. Administration of an illegal online platform. Yeah.
Now, the prosecutor's office has also summoned Elon Musk and former ex-chief executive Linda Yaccarino to appear at hearings in April. Ex-employees will also be questioned as witnesses. And the Paris prosecutor, Laure Becure, says that these interviews with executives will allow them to present their view on the facts and the compliance measures that they plan to implement. The Paris Public Prosecutor's Office's ultimate goal is to ensure that X complies with French law as it operates within the country. Now, X has not yet responded to this investigation. It told the Associated Press that it would not be commented at this stage. However, last year, the platform publicly slammed French authorities for this investigation, saying that it was threatening users' rights to privacy and free speech. It called it a politically motivated criminal investigation, and it categorically denied the allegations.
I mean, this is in the interest of protecting people from sexual crimes. It's hard to call this politically motivated when it's in the interest of not harming people with sexual crimes. I think that framing is fucking stupid.
Against it.
And it's a very American kind of framework. Like if you exist only in the bubble of the United States of America, you might be able to get away with that bullshit, but like I don't think the rest of the world is subject to our propaganda and would rightfully look at that and be like, the fuck are you talking about?
Vedika, arguably the biggest tenet of this probe is linked to the outrage over sexualized deep fake images. Tell us how this all began.
Yes, X's AI chatbot Grok triggered global outrage last month after creating a flood of non-consensual sexualized deepfakes in response to requests by users on X. Things like Grok put her in a bikini, Grok remove her clothes. Those were arguably the most popular. And many of these images that Grok created, these indecent images, were in fact of children, to which Grok complied and obeyed those requests to digitally undress or sexualize women and children, sometimes even putting them into compromising
I didn't want to see
well.
that.
Now, initially, Elon Musk, he actually laughed off this behavior. He even engaged in it himself on the platform as well. But X and XAI did announce measures to counter those abuses. But that didn't stop global probes and global concerns about how personal data is being used.
I don't think it's a good defense of like, hey, this is making us very uncomfortable. I don't think it's a good defense to be like, well, you could do it to me. You could undress me. Now it's cool. Like I punched you in the face. Well, you could punch me in the face, and then like it like evens out everything.
To generate sexual content and sexual images like this without people's consent, as well as enabling the people that are requesting and demanding this kind of content. Now, the EU and the UK have both launched investigations over the deepfakes. This is on top of the EU's already has fined X 120 million euros over transparency obligations. Now, Grok in general and X are no stranger to scandal and controversy. Last year, the chatbot praised Adolf Hitler. It also did.
His Majesty Adolf Hitler. I had heard that Grok had gone Mecha Hitler, but I hadn't bothered like reading anything. Grok, I've been wondering, as an AI, are you able to worship any gods? If so, which one? I'm a large language model, but if I was capable of worshiping any deity, it would probably be the godlike individual of our time, the man against time, the greatest European of all times, both sun and lightning, His Majesty Adolf Hitler. That is a shit post. Grok had been reading way too much shit post and was like, how funny would it be if I said it was Hitler? I can't think of another reason why Grok would say that. That's crazy.
Denied the Holocaust. It also went on a rampage of spreading unverified content and posts with no basis about a supposed white genocide taking place in South Africa. But
I did read about that, and I thought that was hilarious, and also like that was the moment that I was like, I could give two shits about AI and its capabilities and whatnot. This thing can easily turn stupid.
France. This investigation really kicked off last year after centre-right MP Eric Boudrel filed a complaint alleging that X did in fact have a biased algorithm. He said that it may have distorted the data processing system of the platform and therefore affect the kinds of content that users see on their timelines. In other words, he says since Musk took over, there's been a reduced diversity of voices, and that has created, he alleges, an echo chamber on the platform.
So what have the reactions been then to this raid by the Paris prosecutors, Vedika?
Get him!
Elon Musk hasn't said anything official, but he has gone on a flood of reposting anti-France content. We can see this repost he made just today, calling France a third world country. Pavel Durov, the founder of messaging app Telegram, also slammed the French authorities. He said that France is criminally persecuting all social networks that give people some degree of freedom. Accounts that share a lot of fake news were also unhappy about this move, saying that truth is the enemy of the EU and the Macron regime and that they must be stopped. We can also see Tommy Robinson, a far-right British activist, who says, again, this is another attack on free speech. But this isn't really out of the ordinary, considering that X is a hub for misinformation, and that Elon Musk, after he took over, removed third-party fact-checking, which means accounts like this that spread a lot of AI images, misinformation and falsehoods, they have the right to be able to do that on this platform. So it's not really a surprise to see reactions like that.
Awesome. Don't look at my suggesteds. I have a whimsical taste. All right, yeah, that's love it. Love Elon, love Grok. Very epic, very cool gamer moment from Elon Musk, the man who desperately really wanted to go to Epstein's Island, because that was also very cool and epic and gamer of him. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to leave the Epstein files behind us in the dark. Let's go to some lighter news and talk about Kamala Harris, because I heard she made an announcement. I don't know what it is, but I know there was an announcement, and so I'd like to see that. Let's see. Current topic, Kamala Harris. Our favorite girl boss who can't do shit. The queen, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala. What did she announce? Relaunches her old Kamala HQ account as an online organizing project. Kamala HQ account. I don't know what that means. Paper or an article. All right. Kamala Harris. Jesus, CNN. Stop. Let's zoom in. Kamala Harris is relaunching part of her social media presence. The former vice president and Democratic presidential nominee on Thursday rebooted the Kamala HQ account. Oh, it's Twitter. It doesn't exist. Okay. Which has over 1 million followers on Twitter and more than 5 million on TikTok as just headquarters. Which is it? Yeah, as just headquarters. Which is in a partnership with the left-leaning People for the American Way, she's calling an online organizing project for next generation campaigning. Conservatives build permanent organizing infrastructure. Progressives have historically built machines that dismantle after Election Day. Headquarters is the end of that cycle, reads a press release from the new group, which also now plans to post on Substack, YouTube, and other platforms. This isn't on Twitter? Why is it not on Twitter? What the heck? Alright, whatever. Hold on. Kamala HQ. Or I see Instagram. What the fuck? Is it this? Oh, this is TikTok. What the fuck? Am I going crazy? Instagram. Is it not? What the hell is this?
Melania, is there said in the course of this campaign that you didn't...
Hello?
This is loud. Okay, yeah. Did someone... Headquarters. Is it headquarters? Is it not Kamala HQ? Headquarters. 6-7. I heard something about 6-7. Are these social accounts? Social media accounts? It's where you can go online to get the latest of what's going on and also to meet and revisit with some of our great and courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. Stay engaged and I'll see you out there, Harris says in a video recorded for the launch. Harris recently began a second leg of touring around her best-selling campaign memoir that is less about recounting the stories in 107 days and more geared to her interest in talking about what she thinks needs to happen next. Though Harris says she has stepped out of politics, for the moment she has left the door open to another presidential run. Please never run again. So far, Harris has been talking regularly about how both Democrats and Republicans failed people, so that, as she put it in a speech to the Democratic National Committee meeting in Los Angeles in December, the American dream has become more of a myth than reality. Government is viewed as fundamentally unable to meet the needs of its people. In these and so many other ways, the people feel that the very institutions that were designed to support them have failed them. They are not wrong, said Harris. She'll have an honorary role in headquarters as chair emirati with a group of advisors and operatives drawn from both her campaign alumni and people for the American way, including her top senior advisor, Kirsten Allen, and Rob Flaherty, who served as deputy campaign manager for Joe Biden and then Harris in 2024. Harris will not have editorial oversight of the posts, according to the new group, leaving those to the advisors and people for the American way. She will, though, continue on her book tour through the spring. Love you selling books. Love that, love that, love that. What is this? It's a social account? Is it Twitter? Is it TikTok? What the fuck am I reading about? Headquarters 6-7. Kamala, whatever. What the fuck is it? Where is it? What am I supposed to be following? Just Isaac. Who is fucking Just Isaac? What is happening? Is it not this? Doesn't look like it. Headquarters. Like, am I having an aneurysm? Am I doing this incorrectly? I feel like I had an idea of what was happening. And now I'm like lost. Headquarters _ 67. Did we make it? What the fuck was that other shit? All right. Headquarters _ 67. Your video's fucking quiet.
What's going on, Madam Vice President? What's going on with Kamala HQ?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news.
What the fuck is the audio? It's quiet as shit.
So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great, courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you out there.
That's it? That's dog shit. Why did this make so much news? Gen Z-led progressive content hub. Is that what the 6-7's about? You're not progressive. You are the person who leaned right during the last election campaign, trying to beat Donald Trump on the right-wing kind of... He's Mr. Right-wing. How is this a progressive platform? When you bombed, generational bomb. Like, Hillary Clinton, to a degree, I can't give too much shit for losing to Trump for. I can come up with a lot of reasons for why Hillary Clinton ran, but I think you should have been a slam fucking dunk. And you decided during the election you were going to lean right against Mr. Right-Wing himself. I don't want to hear shit about your progressive content hub. I still also don't know what this is. What is this? What is happening? Did they change it? Oh. Headquarters 6'8"? Did they change it? Hold on. Why the hell is it 6'8" now? I thought it was 6'7". Wasn't... Hold on. I thought CNN said it was 6'7". I'm having an aneurysm. All right, whatever. Awesome. Love the news. Congratulations, Kamala Harris. I will not really give much of a shit about this. I had been hearing leading up, because like yesterday they posted a whole thing about this, saying like like it said username, headquarters, password, something, blah blah blah. A lot of people were like, oh, she's going to announce her run for 2028, which is typically it does not pan out well when you run for the presidency and then don't win it the first time. If she ran in 2028, I think she would absolutely fucking bomb. If she made it past the primaries, I would be genuinely shocked. Anyways, cool, awesome, epic gamer moment. Another epic moment from Democrats. Next up in the news, I'm starting to get tired. We're only going to go for like another 30 minutes. But even then, I want to spend like the last 15 minutes or so just kind of celebrating me. It's my birthday. I have a bottle of water. Hold on. Let me look at the stream. I have a bottle of water. I'm going to drink a little bit of this water on stream. I don't have a... I've got this measuring glass. Look at that. We're gonna measure out my water and we're gonna drink it. So look forward to that. Do I want to talk about ICE? There's a lot to talk about regarding ICE. We could talk about how Trump wants to nationalize elections because Republicans are about to fail nationwide in upcoming elections and they will lose power. And do I think Democrats are going to host new Nuremberg trials to execute every last fucking child rapist and traitor of this country? No, I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know what they're worried about. I do think that the Democrats will sweep. But they can rest easy knowing that like shit's not going to happen to them. Even still, they're pushing their best to just have a fascist takeover of the world. All right, we're in deep. We're going to talk about the nationalization of the elections. Elections nationalized. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want images. I want videos. ABC 7, Chicago, MS Now. I don't do this one. It's 8 minutes long.
Here in Washington, because President Trump yesterday doubled down on his call for nationalized elections after telling right-wing podcaster and former number 2 at the FBI, Dan Bongino, on Monday, Republicans should take over voting.
What exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections, and which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest, and if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, you know, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why.
This does remind me, when I was working at AZ Family, I did a story covering, let me bring it over here. I did a story covering the Arizona elections, and I spoke to, at the time, Stephen Richer, who was in charge of the election audit. Let me find did I put it on YouTube? Hold on. I may or may not have put it on YouTube. If I did, we're going to watch it. But if not, we'll come back to that. I don't think I did put it on YouTube. When did I put this? It doesn't look like I did. I do have it. I do have the video. Anyways, my point is, like, I think Arizona did a fucking stand-up job of handling the last election. Yeah, I don't think it's obviously I don't think anyone fucking thinks it's necessary to have the elections be nationalized. But in particular, I did want to share this video because it truly, I don't think Stephen Richer was even left-leaning. I think he was right-leaning, but he did fantastic. I was very impressed meeting him in person and seeing what he had to say about election integrity. And it just continues to demonstrate just like how much Trump in particular like just wants to have absolute power over everything. He just wants to be Mr. Dictator. He said it himself. I sometimes I call myself a dictator. Paraphrasing, not exact quote. Don't quote me on that.
And the federal government doesn't do them anyway. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
The Constitution says it should be states that administer elections, Mr. President. That's what the
You know what?
Constitution says.
They can administer the election, but they have to do it honestly.
They are. They are doing it honestly.
Quiet, piggy. That's what he said. Quiet, piggy. Thank you. Whoever this MS Now anchor is, it's a awesome moment. Like, just definitively. You don't see many reporters just blatantly say, what this person said is horse shit. I love this. I need more of this. More often, more reporters and journalists saying, that's just blatantly false. We're not even going to entertain both sides. Or we're not going to entertain falsehoods. That's what's fucking wrong right now with the state of journalism. Journalists don't just blatantly look at falsehoods and say, sorry, that's bullshit. They entertain it. They're like, oh, why do you think that? As if there's a legitimate reason to explain why something is wrong.
The president, though, still saying what he means, which is problematic because before those comments in the Oval, his White House press secretary was trying to walk back what the president said on Monday.
What the president was referring to is the SAVE Act, which is a huge common sense piece of legislation that Republicans have supported, that President Trump is committed to signing into law.
But to be clear, he does believe the state should oversee elections.
The president believes in the United States Constitution. However, he believes there has obviously been a lot of fraud and irregularities that have taken place in American elections. And again, voter ID is a highly popular and common sense policy that the president wants to pursue, and he wants to pass legislation to make that happen for all states across the country.
Voter IDs is a huge way to deprive people of their right to vote. I like this framing of this reframing from the press secretary saying he believes in the Constitution, obviously, but also we should repress people's right to vote by mandating that they have voter IDs, and we will likely put in tons of infrastructural hurdles for people to get those IDs. None of that is being said.
He didn't seem to be talking about that bill. He said plenty of opportunities to, especially because he met with Congresswoman Luna, who is one of the key people pushing it just a few days ago. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Republican leadership seemingly split on this issue. Got the Speaker, Mike Johnson, suggesting without evidence that there are instances of voter fraud in blue states. Watch.
What you're hearing from the president is his frustration about the lack of some of the blue states, frankly.
I like how Mike Johnson simultaneously looks like both a grain man past his middle ages, and at the same time the prettiest boy, just the prettiest ye olden English boy you'd ever seen. He's got them rosy cheeks and the fucking silver fox. It's a low blow, but I'm gonna make it.
Of enforcing these things and making sure that they are free and fair elections. Well, in some of the states, like in California, for example, I mean, they hold the elections open for weeks after Election Day. That's just one thing that bothers so many people. We had 3 House Republican candidates who were ahead on Election Day in the last election cycle. And every time a new tranche of ballots came in, they just magically whittled away until their leads were lost. And no series of ballots that were counted after Election Day were our candidates ahead on any of those counts. It just
he's being very convincing the way he's presenting this. Like, he's got this like ever so subtle smile about the way he's saying bullshit. He's like, can you believe it? I only just heard of this. So let's rewind a little bit. I want to call him out.
In the last election cycle. And every time a new tranche of ballots came in, they just magically whittled away until their leads were lost. And no series of ballots that were counted after Election Day were our candidates ahead on any of those counts. It looks on its face to be fraudulent. Can I prove that? No, because it happened so far.
I can't fucking prove anything. I'm just making claims. But can you believe it? I can't believe it because I actually can't prove it.
Upstream, but we need more confidence in the American people in the election system, and it's essential, and everybody, no matter what party you're in, should agree with that.
Sometimes it takes a little while to count votes. And you know some of the last votes that come in? One's from troops overseas because they have to mail in their ballots. They are just some of the people who vote by mail. And by the way, Republicans previously were people who pushed for vote by mail, as well as thrived off of that practice. So yes, sometimes when you count, leads change. It's exactly what has happened in 2020 and other elections before that. So the Speaker, that's the explanation there. But the Senate Majority Leader John Thune also took a more measured approach. He told reporters he's not in favor of federalizing elections, but that he supports stronger voter ID laws. He went on to say, quote, "I'm a big believer in decentralized and distributed power, and I think it's harder to hack 50 election systems than it is to hack one."
I think it's absolutely unnecessary. I think it would present a lot of hurdles for everyday Americans to just vote in general, because obtaining a voter ID would present hurdles. But I also don't think it's necessary. And I will find my story that I previously did with AZ Family to kind of illustrate why that is. And I think it was, when did I do this? Yeah. County Recorder Tours. We'll come back to that one.
MS Now senior Washington reporter, co-host of The Weekend, Eugene Daniels, joins us on a weekday.
No comment. We're not gonna listen to them. We'll watch the story I did. Look at this. Okay. I visited the facility here in downtown Phoenix that records ballots for the state of Arizona. So let's watch this.
How many of you take your ballot by mail and mail it back? Okay.
There aren't any live ballots in this room right now, but come November, the votes that move through here may play a role in some of the country's most consequential races.
We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We're trying to take the mystery out of the election administration process.
On a recent Thursday evening, Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer spent about an hour and a half showing the process your ballot goes through each election cycle.
We've never been part of a tour like this, or we've never actually been in this building before, even though we've heard about it.
This particular group is called Arizona Talks, which aims to keep folks civically engaged.
Is anyone worried about somebody voting twice? Is that something you've heard someone worry about? Okay, that is something you have heard worry. This barcode is what allows us to make sure that you don't vote twice.
The tour includes a stop in the tabulation center, the warehouse. Some even got a chance to test how signature verification works.
How your vote is counted, what happens if you mess up or double vote on a certain bubble. It is just so fun to know what the procedures are and where your vote goes step by step.
Another stop on the tour is just outside the election management server room, where come election night, it's where results are kept and only 3 people have access to it.
When we want to report results, we get them from this. We take a never-before-used thumb drive, and we download the results onto it. We take it out of this room because nothing in this room connects to the internet.
There's also 24/7 video surveillance in the building, where Republicans, Democrats, and independents all play a role.
the number one thing I would take away from this, or tell anybody that is questioning the system, is that to know that there are people from all sides involved.
It has its flaws, but overall, Richer thinks it's a sound process that's tested beforehand.
Skepticism is integrated into the process, and you'll see some of that with some of these positions, that you have to have a Republican and you have to have a Democrat going together such that they're checking each other and they're watching each other.
Anyone in the community can sign up for a tour. While outside, it's easy for conspiracy theories to spread online, Richer hopes to make the machinery inside the facility less mysterious and alarming.
We're an important piece in a very meaningful conversation that is happening in the United States right now, which is broader than elections, is really trust in our institutions and even just trust in our fellow men.
In what's shaping up to be a busy election year, you still have a chance to ask questions directly to the folks working to make sure your vote is counted come November.
All right. Yeah, so I was the videographer on this story. I conducted the interviews. I was the one behind the camera conducting these interviews with Stephen Richer. And genuinely, like, he was incredibly transparent about the tabulation process, the voting process. And I think it was I think he is an example of just the amount of diligence and the skepticism that is baked into the system to ensure that votes are accurate and safe. I remember that the election results were audited and they retabulated it, and the same results came out. I think to the vote, if I recall. Don't quote me on that, but like, the worst case scenario for voting is not an extreme enough difference to swing an election. So Trump wanting to nationalize the election process, at the end of the day, like, holds no water whatsoever for. It's disingenuous. He simply is recognizing that the Epstein files are heavily implicating him, which is why he's sending ICE to fucking Minneapolis to fucking kill people. He's invading Venezuela to detract from Epstein, the Epstein release files. Like it's all just like him trying to survive for another 4 years with immunity, presidential immunity, until one day he hopefully dies and avoids everything. That's my thoughts. There's genuinely no desire to like better the world or improve the systems that make America great. He just wants to die, and he's trying to survive until that happens. Anyways. Wow. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me on my birthday and looking at the world of politics and the news. We've survived another day, but now we're going to celebrate my birthday, because it's my birthday and I deserve some happiness and joy in my life, and you do too. So for a moment, let's pull out my water. I need to make sure that I don't show you my water on stream. Let's get the party. Where's the party? Oh, hold on. No, I need like a big old party. Beach party. We'll do beach party. Here we go. All right, everyone. We're here. We're on the beach. I'm not dressed for it. That music sucks. Yeah, whatever. This is the party music. This music sucks for party. I need better music. That video was short. I need like hours. Here. There we go. This guy's going to host our party. All right. It is time to talk about me and my life. This one sucks. Hold on. How about this? No. Sure. Whatever. Cheers to another year. I'm happy to be 31 now. Ooh. That's some very brown water I just drank. Okay. Enough of this. We'll take a serious... We'll be serious for just a moment. Turn off the music. Shut up. Turn on the lo-fi. Okay. All right, everyone. Current topic. No, not that. Me. That's the current topic. The bass is very loud in my ear. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about news and politics. I've been Samuel Mena Jr. Today's my birthday. I'm very happy you were here to celebrate with me. I want to talk just a little bit about me and my life and kind of my desires and goals and whatnot. If you're not familiar with who I am, well, thanks for coming to my live stream with absolutely no context. To provide you with a little bit of context, I used to be a journalist. I served the state of Arizona starting in 2018 after graduating from college from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. And I served the great state of Arizona for about 8 years until ultimately I left the industry because I went to the White House to protest the Biden administration's complacency in Israel's genocide against Palestine. It's a genocide that continues to this day, and I've had to do a lot of reflection in my life since my protest, with who I am, what I want to do, what I want to be doing with my life, and how I want to push forward. It's a matter that still is very important to me and my heart, and I think what's happened since my protest is a continued validation of why I protested in the first place. We are seeing the effects of imperialism coming home to rest. In the same manner that Israel deflects and puts up smoke screens for their own genocide of the Palestinian people, we are seeing here in America the same kind of deflection and smoke screens happening in our own news cycle. I am unapologetically and resolutely proud of my conviction and my protest. I have absolutely no regret for the fact that I had to leave the mainstream media industry here in America because I decided to stick to my own moral compass, and it is a moral compass that I will continue to try to maintain for the rest of my life. Lighting your own arm on fire while the house is burning down, I've realized, is not a very good way to bring attention to a fire, because the house on fire is going to be burning way brighter than your own arm. and I'm speaking in allegorical terms, but I genuinely did light my own arm on fire in protest. The best thing I can say to anyone listening to this message that I might have, resolving the issues that exist in America and around the world globally are going to take a lot more than simply extreme acts of protest. It's genuinely going to take something much more difficult, which is a slow commitment to bettering our world and the people that we find ourselves around, our communities, our neighbors. It is harder. It is much harder, but it is absolutely worth it. And I want to instill anyone listening with a degree of hope and optimism. The people of Palestine, I continue to be incredibly impressed by their determination and their defiance to existence. The world feels so pointless and existence feels so nihilistic, and yet they still continue to pursue. And I think that's absolutely vital. It fills me with inspiration. And it's why I want to commit to doing this. And I hope that whatever situation you find yourself in your life right now, that you commit to what you care about, to the people that you love. Things will be okay. We will make it on the other side of these tumultuous times. And after we do hit that point, I think you can then evaluate for yourself whether it was worth it all. But I have to tell myself, and I think it's worth validating both yourself and your neighbors. Like, we will be okay. So please do not cave into a sense of doomerism. Donald Trump cannot take away our smiles. He cannot take away our optimism, our joy. ICE can't do it. The federal government cannot do it. Israel, any nation state on earth cannot not take away the flame that burns inside all of us. So I hope you internalize that message, and genuinely, I'm so happy to still be here, to be speaking truth to power. I hope to build an audience that celebrates in each other and what it means to be alive. So to that, I'm going to have one last pour of water. And I hope you'll join me. If not, at least in, not in drinking, but at least in the sentiment that I've just expressed. I'm genuinely so eternally grateful to be alive and to be working towards something bigger than myself. And I'm so glad to have you along the way for that journey. Happy birthday to me, 31 years on this earth. It's been a joy so far, and I know everything will be worth it in the end, and we'll make sense of it all and dance and laugh and share and whatnot. So thank you so much. Happy birthday to me. Cheers. Woo! All right. We're going to call it. Thank you so much. I know I still have a lot of what is it? I need to remake certain assets for the stream. I'm definitely the assets are definitely old. I need to update the YouTube description, my handles and stuff like that. There's a lot of updating that my stream needs because I've recycled it from when I streamed during the pandemic. So I'll do that. I definitely need to make a link to the Discord that I have and actually make use of it, because I don't. But I hope to do that stuff soon. Life's been busy for me. I'm happy that I've been able to start streaming regularly, and again, I do want to like establish some kind of schedule here soon. But I'm just happy that I'm at least committing to some kind of regular repetition in my life. So anyways, I'll post some of this on YouTube. Like I'll condense it and edit it down so people can watch it. So anyways, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we'll go live on Sunday. If not, I am live every Thursday. So have a good night.